House of Wisdom.
Welcome, curious fellows.
Imagine a man wealthier than Elon Musk, richer than the entire Apple empire, more powerful than the Ambani dynasty and the fortunes of MBS combined. In today's world of billionaires and tech giants, it seems impossible to imagine someone so unfathomably wealthy. But such a man did exist. Centuries ago, he embarked on a journey that would shake the very foundations of economies, leaving a trail of gold and consequences in his wake. His generosity was legendary, but so were the ripples of chaos it left behind. Who was this man? How could his immense fortune lead to economic disaster? Stay with us as we uncover the incredible story of a ruler whose wealth far exceeded anything we know today, Mansa Musa, the richest man in history. In the year 1324, Egypt's capital, Cairo, prepared to witness something beyond imagination. The city had seen rulers and travelers from every corner of the world, but never had it seen such wealth, such grandeur, as when Mansa Musa, the emperor of Mali, approached with his legendary caravan.
The algorithm is pushing us into a rat race, but with wisdom, we seek an escape. Here at House of Wisdom, we delve into topics that challenge conventional narratives. That's why our channel is dedicated to uncovering the true context of history, piecing together fragments to reveal a more accurate and inclusive story. Understanding history is crucial. It shapes our identity, informs our decisions, and helps us learn from past mistakes. By uncovering the true stories of our ancestors, we can better appreciate the diverse tapestry of human experience and build a more informed and empathetic world. Our goal is to bring you well-researched and engaging content that sheds light on the true stories. But we can't do it alone. We need your support. Please subscribe, like, and share. While most of our timeline is trying to brain drain, let's focus on brain gain.
The desert sun shimmered against the horizon as the first signs of his arrival became visible, a procession stretching for miles, bringing the wealth of an entire empire. Mansa Musa, revered not only for his power, but for his devotion to Islam, was on a sacred journey to Mecca. But his passage through Egypt would leave an everlasting mark, one that would ripple far beyond the streets of Cairo. His arrival in the city was nothing short of magnificent. Thousands of men accompanied him, guards, scholars, and servants, each part of a vast entourage that carried untold riches. Golden-clad camels, bearing treasure from the heart of West Africa, strode majestically through the streets. Gold dust sparkled in the air, and Cairo's residents, from noblemen to commoners, looked on in awe. Yet, Mansa Musa's true brilliance lay not just in the wealth he displayed, but in the generosity he shared. From the moment he set foot in Cairo, Mansa Musa opened his heart and hands to the people. His generosity was legendary, a reflection of both his faith and the immense prosperity of Mali. He distributed gold coins to the needy, merchants, and even to passers-by. No one was overlooked. He built mosques and offered donations to scholars, spreading not only wealth, but knowledge. The streets filled with stories of his kindness. The traders who encountered him could hardly believe their good fortune, as they returned home laden with riches far beyond what they could have imagined. For days, Cairo was a city transformed, its people blessed by the touch of Mansa Musa's golden generosity. Mansa Musa's visit to Egypt did more than fill the streets with gold. Word of his astonishing wealth and benevolence spread like wildfire. Travelers, traders, and dignitaries from across the known world spoke of the African king whose generosity knew no bounds. Tales of Mansa Musa reached the far corners of Europe, the Middle East, and beyond, igniting curiosity and admiration for the kingdom of Mali. It wasn't just Musa's wealth that fascinated the world. It was the way he shared it so freely, uplifting those around him. His name became synonymous with prosperity, with wisdom, and with faith. Kings and rulers from distant lands marveled at the idea of an emperor who could give so much without hesitation. Maps of the time began to place Mali prominently, with depictions of a king seated on a golden throne, holding an orb of wealth that seemed to symbolize the boundless riches of his empire. Mali became a kingdom known not just for its gold mines, but for the spirit of generosity embodied by its ruler. By the time Mansa Musa left Cairo to continue his pilgrimage, his name was already etched in the annals of history. His journey through Egypt was more than just a passage. It was a golden chapter in the story of a great king whose generosity inspired the world. To this day, Mansa Musa is remembered not just as the wealthiest ruler to ever walk the earth, but as a king who used his wealth to uplift and bless others. His Hajj to Mecca became a symbol of the power of giving, a story that continues to inspire.
Yet, what Musa didn't realize was that, by flooding the Egyptian markets with such vast amounts of gold, he was inadvertently causing its value to plummet. What seemed like an act of unparalleled kindness created economic chaos. Gold, once a symbol of wealth and stability, now became overly abundant. Merchants who once traded small fortunes for their goods found themselves with more gold than they could handle. Yet the price of everyday items began to soar. Inflation hit Egypt hard. Suddenly, the once prosperous economy found itself in a precarious position. The gold that Mansa Musa spread with a generous hand became, ironically, a burden. Over the years, historians noted that Egypt's economy took a full decade to recover from the shock Musa's wealth caused. Here's where the irony lies. In a world where the rich shower gold upon the poor, the dream is that prosperity follows. But the reality, economies thrive not on the excess of wealth, but on the balance of its circulation. The rich are often urged to stay rich, while the poor, though given crumbs from the table, are better kept poor, or at least not too wealthy. Why? Because massive injections of wealth in an unequal system can disrupt more than they improve. Mansa Musa's well-meaning gifts didn't bring long-term prosperity. Instead, they threw the economy into turmoil, because the system wasn't built to handle such excess. Now let's bring this lesson into today's world. The global economy thrives on disparity. Wealth inequality, while seemingly cruel, often underpins the mechanisms of growth. Too much wealth distributed too quickly can cause inflation, destabilize markets, and disrupt the delicate balance that economies rely on. You see, in modern economic systems, prosperity often depends on the fact that not everyone can get wealthy overnight. In this sense, Mansa Musa's act of extreme generosity highlights a paradox. Sometimes, for an economy to prosper, the poor must stay poor. Or at least, the system must keep a certain imbalance. So, the next time we hear stories of extreme generosity, we must ask ourselves, what happens when wealth disrupts the system? Can too much kindness destabilize an economy that wasn't built to sustain it? Mansa Musa's journey to Egypt teaches us a valuable lesson. In the complex web of economies, sometimes, less is more, and more is a dangerous thing. This phenomenon isn't unique to Mansa Musa or Egypt. Countries like the United States during the Gilded Age thrived on inequality, where the concentration of wealth among a few industrialists drove innovation, infrastructure, and a booming economy. In contrast, the golden age of capitalism in America, from the late 1940s to the early 1970s, brought significant economic growth and the rise of a prosperous middle class. Fueled by post-war industrial expansion, government programs, and higher wages, millions of Americans achieved homeownership, greater access to education, and increased consumer spending power. However, this surge in the middle class led to inflationary pressures. As more people gained purchasing power, demand for goods and services skyrocketed, outpacing supply and driving prices higher. Moreover, rising wages forced businesses to increase costs, which cut into profit margins and created economic tension. This phenomenon highlights a fundamental issue in capitalism. While the expansion of the middle class seems beneficial, it can disrupt the system's reliance on inequality. Capitalism thrives on concentrated wealth at the top, allowing for investment and control. A growing middle class shifts the balance of wealth and power, often leading to calls for wage growth, better working conditions, and stronger government intervention, factors that threaten the profit-driven nature of the capitalist economy. Therefore, the rise of the middle class, while socially positive, poses a challenge to the core structure of capitalism. Also consider countries like Venezuela, which sought to uplift the poor through extensive social programs. Initially promising, these efforts led to economic collapse, hyperinflation, and shortages. The disruption in the economy showcased how attempts to redistribute wealth without considering market dynamics can backfire. Similarly, during the late 20th century, many European nations tried to implement policies aimed at reducing inequality. While these initiatives were well-intentioned, they often disrupted existing economic systems, leading to stagnation or decline instead of growth. If Mansa Musa's journey taught us anything, it's that our current economic system, like the one that crumbled under his wealth in Egypt,